I know I'm a bit late to making this video, but the truth is I couldn't make a video on this as soon as everything had happened because it would have been a bit more of an emotional conversation, and I wanted us to have a bit more of a nuanced and intelligent conversation. Yes, this video will be about Charlie Kirk, and it will also be about all of the other violent crimes that we've been seeing in the world lately and how I've genuinely lost faith in this world. So, there's no good segue into this. How have we fallen so far as a society to where there's people not just advocating for, but celebrating the deaths of other people? I do not care if you align with somebody's political views, whether or not you agree with them, whether or not you disagree with them. We should never be advocating for or celebrating the death of somebody. This is a human being. He had a wife and kids. And imagine if that was your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your husband, your wife, your daughter, your son, your mom, your dad. They went out and spoke their mind, and now they are no longer with us just because somebody disagreed with them. Have a bit of empathy. I don't understand why or how we've gotten to this point where we are so desensitized to violence and how I'm not even surprised by Charlie Kirk's death or the brutality of it. If you go on social media right now and you search Charlie Kirk, the first 5 clips, at least for me on Instagram, were literally just clips of the shooting uncensored. This is the stuff that we see on social media, and it's only getting more and more violent. And here's the thing, if you advocate for or celebrate somebody's death in any way, you are beyond saving. You are mentally unwell, you are mentally unhinged, you are a disgusting, disturbed human being. You deserve to be in a straitjacket, locked away in the deepest, darkest mental asylum, heavily medicated until you are fit again for society, if that ever ends up actually happening. You are a disgusting human being, and I don't even know how you live with yourself. You are disgusting. And here's the thing. We have a lot of those people running around in society. There's 2 different types of people. There's people that will advocate for and celebrate the deaths of people because they are already unwell. And then you have the people that are a step below that, just a bit more of a disturbed, disgusting, awful, terrible human being, just, a level below that will actually pull the trigger. Now, granted, there is times where I do think it's okay to pull the trigger. If somebody breaks into your home, pull the trigger. If somebody's attacking you, pull the trigger. If somebody, I don't know, if they're like Adolf Hitler, pull the trigger. But we're not talking about Adolf Hitler. We're talking about a somewhat political figure that was out debating college kids, and he was killed in broad daylight for it. And you have a lot of those people, as I was talking about before, that are mentally unhinged to where they see this violence on social media, and since they are already so unwell and already one tick away from doing a heinous act, they see these things, and therefore it validates them in some way, and they're like, oh, you know what? Like a part of their already disturbed brain just kind of clicks, and they're like, oh, maybe I should do this too. And then we see what we saw yesterday. And unfortunately, due to the way that social media is set up and the internet is set up and the news is set up nowadays, this is actually, this is what's getting the numbers nowadays. And it's sickening to see how the conversation around political violence has changed because, you've always had those few sick people, but now it's at this point where it feels like there's almost an entire war going on in America against the left and right. I thought this country was called the United States of America, but I'm finding out more and more by the day it's actually the divided states of America because you have all of these morons, saying, oh, I'm a right wing or oh, I'm a left wing or this, that, or the other. Me personally, I don't really identify with either. I'm just kind of like, a normal human being with my own thoughts and opinions on things, as I feel like we all should be. I thought that's what America was about before, but, clearly I was wrong about that. And, it's really scary right now, man. I'm sure you can kind of pick up on just how uneasy I feel. Yesterday when I saw the clip of Charlie, at first, I almost threw up, if I'm going to be honest. I stood in the bathroom for a minute 'cause I thought I was going to be sick, not because of the violence or the brutality of it. I've seen some nasty shit before in real life and online. But rather because of how the hell do I even say this? Just because of how the direction that I see the world going in, and it felt like a turning point. Seeing that death yesterday felt like a turning point. This was one of those times where somebody was killed completely unjustifiably. I gave the examples before of when it's okay to pull the trigger, and again, that's if somebody actually brings you physical harm. Charlie Kirk wasn't actually bringing anybody any physical harm. You know what I mean? And this goes beyond Charlie Kirk. I'm not going to say her name or try to because it's a name that I can't pronounce. It was the girl that was murdered on the subway again. I'm not going to try to pronounce her name just out of respect for her and her family because I can't pronounce it, so I don't want to like butcher it. But she was stabbed to death, mutilated multiple times by a male on a subway. And this leads us into the next part of this conversation. This male, regardless of race, you know, there's people saying right now like he was a black male, she was a white girl, whatever. I'm so sick to death of the racial conversations as well, man. I don't care if you're black, if you're white, if you're yellow, if you're a lesbian, if you're a transgender. I don't care what the hell you are. I'm so sick of these. I'm so sick of these tags. I'm so sick of these identifiers. I care about you as a human being. I don't care about tags. I don't care. If you want to identify as something, I don't care what your pronouns are. I just want to know you as a human being. No, I'm not saying that I'm anti-trans. No, I'm not saying that I'm anti-whatever. I support the they, thems. I support the bisexuals. I support the pansexuals, the asexuals, every letter in the LGBTQIA plus spectrum. You know, I support everybody. I love everybody. Everybody is a beautiful human being. Even the disturbed ones have some beauty within them. They are a human being on Earth, even if they are mentally disturbed and sick. That being said, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I'm losing my train of thought here just because it's so like I don't even know how to like continue on with this. But I am just so sick to death of these minority groups and all of these professional victims online and all of this stuff, because this is part of what leads to this violence. Most of the people that are celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk or other, you know, people like the victim on the subway are people that are a part of these minority groups and these people that think that they are owed something from society just because they identify or something or because they were born with a different skin color. What happened to this colorblind society we were supposed to be trying to achieve? Because at this point I feel like we're almost as racist as we were just like, you know, years ago. Obviously we abolished slavery. Obviously there's not really systemic racism on a legal level, and you know, I don't really care if you disagree with that. I'm just talking legally by the laws. If you want to debate that, hey, some people are racist and like, you know, maybe a fast food joint won't hire you because your skin color, that's totally fair. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about on a legal objective level. If you look at the laws, there's nothing that says a black man can't do what a white man can do, and etc. If you want to talk about the other stuff, that's whatever. I'm just talking the objective facts. But anyway, beyond all that, those are the types of people, anyway, that are like celebrating the deaths of these people. And I am just so sick to death of all of this. And furthermore, I am so sick of the violence, and I am so sick of this world just feeling so far gone, man. Like, what happened? What happened to that? You know, I feel like it was just back in like 2010 or something. You know, you at least had a few people still advocating for world peace, but like, you know, I'm not trying to draw video game comparisons here, right? This is like a serious topic, but like the game Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Again, I know this is a terrible example, but that game takes place during 2025. And I remember when I was a kid playing that game, I was like, oh man, you know, there's no way things could be this bad in 2025. And now here we are in 2025. And honestly, a lot of what you saw in that game is starting to happen in real life. And it's kind of terrifying. And again, I'm not trying to draw comparisons or make jokes here. I'm just being genuinely serious. It was a fear of mine as a kid, and now I'm seeing it come true. And it's just absolutely horrific. And you compound that on top of everything else that we've seen in recent years, whether that be certain movements or riots or like the stupid Tesla stuff earlier this year where people like getting their fucking Teslas blown up and people were getting hurt because of it, and school shootings and everything. I just don't understand what's going on in the world. What's wrong with you people? How far gone are we? Like, I just don't understand. You know, I have my own issues. Everybody has their own issues. I've talked about them before, how I have like a few mental disorders or whatever. But even with the mental disorders I have, I would never. You know, I even flinch when I squash a spider. You know? Like, I feel bad when I kill a spider, because then there's like that little thing that runs through my head, like, oh, he probably had a family. But for somebody to just go out in society and pull the trigger on somebody, how? I'm just at a loss for words, man. It's making me tear up almost, because, man, I got younger siblings, man. You know, my parents are still around and everything. I'm still relatively young, you know, whatever. Like, you know, you see me, I'm half Asian, but, you know, I'm also like half white or whatever. Like, man, if something like that would ever happen to any of my siblings or any of my family members just because somebody disagreed with what they said, or just because they had a certain skin color, what are we doing? Think about this. What are we doing? I always say none of this stuff matters because at the end of the day, we all die. You know, it's like a thing I've said before where it's like kind of pessimistic, but also entirely true. One day we all die, so really anything that happens doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? It just, excuse me. It is what it is. Our time comes for, you know, our time comes when our time comes. But our time should never be cut short. Especially not by somebody else. And I feel like this is a whole other conversation, but I feel like the legal system has also failed us because there isn't enough fear being striked into people. And I think that's the problem. People are becoming fearless, and as terrible as this sounds, I think society works best when people are scared shitless. To a certain extent. Right now I feel like people are scared, and it's probably going to push people into a violent type of scare, where we see the death of Charlie Kirk, we see all these other violent crimes, and now I feel like there's probably going to be some retaliation, and I'm not advocating for retaliation. But what I am saying is that we need justice. The guy that slaughtered the girl on the subway, if I have my numbers correct, might be wrong about this, might be wrong about the exact numbers, but the story is, you know, is still close to this. He was released 16 times. Not once, twice. Not 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, or 16. 16 times. When is enough enough? There's also some theories that maybe the judge was paid off or whatever. Conversation for a different day. That's even worse. You know, there's corruption everywhere. Corruption in politics. Corruption. I feel like everything's corrupted. It just makes me wonder, like, what the point is even in going on in this world anymore. I was talking to somebody last night, and I was saying, like, I don't think I want to stay in America anymore. I don't think I want to stay in the first world anymore. I'm thinking of moving to a different country entirely. Not sure what country, but just something far away from all of this, man. It's terrible. It truly is terrible. There were some other things I was saying, but at this point, I don't know. Oh, that's what I was saying. Or, you know, like, all of us die eventually, so technically none of this stuff matters. But that being said, you know, I still believe that for the time that we are here on this earth, we should make an impact, and we should do as many beautiful things as we can with this life, whether that's speaking out on things that we're passionate about, or making a stand in politics, or creating art, or doing literally anything to make a dent in this world before we go to help shape it and make it more beautiful for generations to come, so then they have a nicer world to live in. But I feel like this generation is so far gone between the brain rot of social media, and I don't mean brain rot in the tee-hee skibbity sense. I mean brain rot in the... it speaks for itself. Everybody's brains are rotted to a point where we're celebrating the deaths of other human beings. I feel like that says everything that you need to, you know? I just don't understand. I wish society thought more like I did. And I'm not trying to be narcissistic when I say that, but I'm trying to say it like this. I don't care what your name is. I don't care where you come from. I don't care what your skin color is. I don't care what your gender is. I don't care what your sexuality is. I don't care what's wrong with you, what your past is, where you come from, or where you're headed. I care about who you are, what's your heart, what's your soul in this current moment. If we disagree on certain things, whether that's pineapple and pizza, whether it's larger issues in politics, so be it. I don't care. How do your opinions, or your identifications, or your views on things affect me? They don't. And in politics, sure, you could say it's a different situation because things they say do actually influence people, and it can cause change. Different conversation, different day. And even with that being the case, that does not justify shooting somebody in the neck in broad daylight and taking them away from their loved ones and their supporters and this world in general. Even if nobody knew them, there's never a justifiable reason to kill somebody outside of self-defense, as we talked about before. I couldn't care less about all of that. I just want to know somebody as a human being. Who are you? What's your soul? What drives you? What are you passionate about? What keeps you going in life? I don't care about all this other nonsense. I don't care about how many views you have on social media, what your social status is, where you stand in politics. What is this? Have we lost the plot? Is everybody just fucking insane? I feel like I'm going insane just sitting here talking about all this. It's crazy that I have to make this video. I never talk about politics and I never make videos like this, but I had to. I just had to. This was like the final nail in the coffin to where I just don't even know what to say anymore. I don't know. I feel like we should just kind of end the video there, if anything. If there's one thing I can leave you all with here, I'll say this. There is never a... Honestly, I think I've already said everything I need to say. God bless America. God bless this world. May God be with us all. It's just terrible.